everyone. This is EJ Schultz, news editor at Ad Age, and welcome to the latest installment of our monthly look at purpose marketing hits and misses. Joining me is our regular guest, Thomas Kolster, who is the founder and creative director at Copenhagen-based Goodvertising agency, which advises companies and organizations on how to turn environmental, societal, and health risks into market opportunities. Welcome, Thomas.
Thank you, EJ. Good to see you.
Good to see you. I'm coming to you from my basement in Chicago today, and you're coming to us from a winery in Portugal. So somebody is winning here, and it's not me.
Life isn't fair, but that's because last time I was in Chicago during winter, it didn't really tease me to go back to Chicago any day soon. So I chose Portugal. Sorry about that, EJ.
Well, Chicago is at its best in the summer, but anyway,
True.
Let's get going. Let's start with our hits as usual. We begin with the BBC, which in a new ad argues that maybe screen time isn't so bad after all. The ad created in-house tells the tale of the square-eyed boy while pushing back at the notion that watching screens will give you square eyes. Rather, the BBC argues that educational programming can help you become more well-rounded. Let's take a look at this one and we'll discuss it after.
You know what they say about watching screens?
You'll get square eyes!
People misunderstood the square-eyed boy and assumed he was mindlessly glued to a screen. They thought he didn't care about the world around him. But maybe we shouldn't be so quick to judge.
Oi!
Because it's not always pointless watching.
Hey, bite size will help.
It's brain building. It's discovering.
Vikings didn't go to battle with horns on their helmets.
It's getting them off the sofa.
The judges' scores are in.
And it's seeing the bigger picture.
To keep our planet in perfect balance.
So maybe you don't get square eyes, but can actually become well-rounded. Screens. It's what's on them that counts.
They summarize their approach with that last line. It's what's on them that counts. Why does this work for you, Thomas? It's a little bit of a hard sell for screen time has gotten so much negative publicity in recent years.
Yeah, I think that's why I absolutely love it. I think so much of the stuff right now is just about the black and white view of the world. And I think BBC, as a public service station, I think serves a bigger purpose here and really also showing there's the other side to screen use. I think we talked about this so many times that most of the stuff we see don't really tell us anything new. And I think this adds a new perspective. If you do spend 30 seconds in a commercial, why not tell me something new? I think it's refreshing. And also, I love the little tagline as well. This is our BBC. So I think it's really sort of spot on in terms of public service and what BBC stands for. So well done.
Yeah. Let's stay in Europe for our next one. It comes from the French telecom Orange. It got a lot of attention with this next ad, which is for the Women's World Cup. And it used some visual trickery to make the case for gender equity in sports. Let's take a look at the ad, which comes from publicist Marcel.
Ah, c'est passé. Oui, c'est passé. Oh, oui. Bien sûr que c'est passé. Maintenant, faut que ça aille au bout. Allez. Ouais, c'est bien joué. Il y a plus qu'à la pousser. Il y a plus qu'à la pousser. Voilà. C'est pénalty, ça. C'est fait. Les Bleus qui reviennent dans le match. Et on a encore le droit de rêver. Avec le pied droit. Quel toucher de balle extraordinaire. Là, il y a un bon ballon de foot à jouer. Bien fait, le centre frais. Bah oui, bravo. Il est direct. Le centre frais. Oh, le geste de d'ailleurs. Ah, la tête piquée. Oh, superbe. Oh, elle est belle cette équipe. Ouais, c'est ça. Le football qu'on aime. C'est ça. Les Bleus qu'on aime.
So we've covered a ton of Women's World Cup ads here at Ad Age, and nearly every one of them has some sort of gender equality push. But this one really stands out, just the way they went about it. What did you like about it, Thomas?
Yeah, and what a crash course in French there our viewers got. But I hope they, I hope they got it anyways. No, you're absolutely right. I think there's so many ads that that sort of play on gender diversity and wants to be connected with the women's football championship. Why I really love this, and usually I'm not a big fan of so-called fake ads or ads that try and trick us, is that it's so insightful. I have a niece who's 13-year-old and she plays soccer, and I think it really goes head on with a lot of the reasons why people don't watch women's soccer. Things like, oh, they're not as technically good as the men, it's not fast enough. So I think this ad really holds up a mirror in front of all those folks and say, hey, wait a moment, women's football is actually super interesting and fun. So I think they get away with it and they do it in such a brilliant way. I absolutely loved it. It fooled me the first time I saw it. And as I said, having a niece playing soccer and seeing some of the stuff that she's faced with, I just love this ad. Well done.
Yeah, and it really broke through all, we saw a ton of brands still doing World Cup ads over here in the US. And this, this one got attention beyond France. I mean, it was written about here in the US quite a bit, covered a lot. So well done.
Yeah, and it's connected with Orange as well. I think even them playing this little digital trick with us, I think sort of lends to the brand as well. I think they have a reason for engaging in this. So yeah, I did like it. A lot of the other ones didn't really connect with me. So well done to these guys. It's insightful.
So let's stay with the World Cup for our last hit, or I think it's a hit, but you'll tell me what you feel about it. It's from Hyundai. The ad and the campaign is called Goal of the Century. It comes from Young Von Matt Agency. It pays homage to women's soccer history.
And ought not to be encouraged.
Your football!
The first official women's international game ever.
So the hook here for Hyundai is that they've been supporting Women's World Cup since 1999. I think that they throw up on the screen. So they're starting to play into that sort of historical element a little bit. But what did you think of the spot?
Yeah, I think obviously it might not be the most sort of sexy and most elegantly executed commercial that we've seen during this game, but when we talk about purpose, we also have to look at the not so sexy stuff. And I actually do think that Hyundai comes here with a really good argument. We were not here when it was necessarily cool. We were here before it was cool. And them playing on that important point, I think really resonates with me and sort of builds authenticity around this endeavor. So I think they get away with it. 14 years of commitment. And I think this is something that typically parts the sort of brands that are sort of venturing into purpose and trying to cherry pick courses, and those who stay true to their colors. And I think Hyundai has a reason to support and to speak up for this. So
and they're doing more than just an ad here. They've got some other activations around the World Cup. They I think partnered with the FIFA Museum during the fan festival at the World Cup in Sydney, doing an exhibition called Calling the Shots, Faces of Women's Football. So looks like they did pour a fair amount of resources into this entire campaign.
Yeah, and I even think they get away with the connection between Hyundai and football at the very end, where the car sort of like drives into the end shot. So it might not be the best, but again, this is well done for the commitment and not you know taking on a hero's cape just for doing it.
All right, on to our misses. We will stick with the sports theme, though. This comes from Sky Sports, which is pushing an environmental message in a new ad that claims climate change is threatening sports. The spot mixes exhilarating fan imagery with depressing views of empty stadiums and even a flooded golf course, while trying to convince people to, quote, travel green. The UK sports broadcaster on its website suggests that fan travel is the biggest contributor to sporting event emissions. Let's take a look and talk about it.
Hearts race, cells dance, chemicals flood the brain. This is what love looks like. And when you love something like this, you do anything to protect it.
All right, why don't you like this one?
I feel it's one of those again that's a little bit too stock image heavy. It does say some of the right things, but it's not concrete. What is it, in fact, that I can do as a fan to travel more lightly? So I think this is just another example of an ad that almost plays and brings too much focus in Sky rather than actually saying to the fans how I can travel more lightly, and they're actually maybe giving me some options in that commercial. They're stealing my time. I think they're basically just making them shine more than actually helping me do something good for the sport. They could have done better on this one, and especially these days where I think all of us are seeing the impacts and feeling the impacts of the climate emergency this summer. I think this is something that is very much front and center, and so I think there's a time to talk about the brand and its commitments, and there's a time to kind of help us in that journey, and so that's why I feel it's a miss. They should have done more to help me.
Yeah, that's exactly what I was thinking. I was watching. I was like, okay, well, what should I do here? I'm going to go watch a golf match, but how can I do that more environmentally? And then also kind of blaming the fans a little bit, where I assume a lot of emissions is coming from the team travel and the other people, the big corporations, Sponsors. Why are you putting all the blame on us poor fans?
Exactly. And I think also, what is Sky doing? If they want to have this sort of they run around this ad, let me know what you guys are doing. If you don't want to help me, and I think that's the real opportunity right now, that young folks especially are actively searching for how they can live more carbon friendly. So I think that's an open door for all brands to participate and to do their part in inspiring all of us to be part of that journey.
All right, moving on. Our next miss comes from insurance company AXA Group, which in a new ad suggests that women are disproportionately affected by risks of all kinds. The ad shows various scenarios involving health and societal pressures, then asks viewers to visit its website, where it states that women are, quote, underprotected and overexposed to risks, while plugging several initiatives that are somewhat related to its health and business insurance offerings. The campaign comes from Publicis Conceal. Let's take a look.
Come home in the morning like my mother. This is when you're gonna live your life right. Oh my dear, we're not the fortunate ones. And girls, they wanna have fun. Oh, girls just wanna have. Boys take beautiful girl and hide her away for the rest of the world.
All right, Thomas, what's your take?
I mean, first up, two white men talking about women empowerment ad for an insurer. Probably not the best thing, but not nonetheless. I do think that the cause is spot on. I think talking about risk women as an insurance company makes a lot of sense. I do see them do a lot of interesting initiative, both locally and globally. Uh, Again, what we talked about in the commercial just before, where I think they could have done it better. There's so many insightful situations that we see along, along the as the storyline unfolds. But I think just zooming in on one of those and actually telling women how they can turn risk into opportunity would have made it much more powerful and much more focused on the business and what AXA is actually doing. Because when you go on the website, there is a lot of interesting stuff there to be told. So I think they fall into a trap of almost being too. It becomes too much of a narrative where they could have made it much more simple and much more impactful. So I think again with a lot of this stuff, it's about being concrete and actionable and really proving to people what it is that you do and how you can and how you and your products and services can actually make a meaningful difference in my life. They got it. They was just almost there.
Yeah, and I think they make the mistake a lot of brands make, which assumes that I, as a viewer, am going to take the time to visit their website because I think you've got to figure out a way to bring more of that into the 30 or 60-second ad because, yeah, I'm like kind of confused on, well, what are you doing to solve this? I mean, it's a nice, it's nice visuals, nicely presented, but then there's just like this missing piece of, okay, what now kind of thing.
Especially because I think there's so much noise in this space around women empowerment right now. And so again, I think people are getting a little bit fed up with it and they actually want to know, dear AXA, what are you actually doing? And AXA is actually doing things. And so it's a bit of a shame that they don't take this opportunity to actually shine a light on how they can turn these risks into opportunities for women across the world.
All right, we got one more miss. It's much more lighthearted. It comes from Smuckers, and it's plugging its natural line of jams, and it uses this Father Nature character, which I believe they've used before, and it kind of uses also a family sitcom kind of spoof approach. It comes from BBH USA and PS1. Let's take a look.
He's married to Mother Nature.
Sweetie, what's an 8-letter word for an animal that never forgets? Oh, Smucker's Natural Strawberry. Steve, you always remember what we like. Now, what animal never forgets?
Dad.
Steve. No, Steve doesn't fit. Well, this is impossible.
So, Thomas, I got to ask you because you sort of helped curate these. You pointed to this one. What is, first of all, what makes this a purpose ad? First of all, is it just because it's promoting more natural food?
Yeah, or is it? That's the big question, right? and did any of our viewers actually get that little eight character word? Was that an elephant? I'm not sure. But anyways, yeah, I think that is essentially the challenge, is especially these days where there's so much talk about greenwashing. I know it's comedy. I know it's sort of this sitcom style of work. What I'm questioning here, and this is maybe a question to our viewers as well, is this greenwashing? Is this taking it too far? This whole sort of nature, flowers, all this stuff, which sort of hints at natural and probably every product coming from this company being very natural. And that's my beef with this piece of work. So I think that's what they're trying to achieve with this play on Father Earth and Mother Earth. And I think this is a very, very sort of a balancing act, a knife edge type thing. Because if it falls out to the one side, it's greenwashing. On the other side, maybe they got the balance right. I'll probably leave that up to our viewers. I just didn't really feel that it sat very well with me. I got a bit of a bad taste in my mouth.
Okay, we're about out of time, and I want to let you get back to your vacation. But thank you so much, Thomas, as usual, for all your insights. Before I let you go, though, I do want to thank our producer, Lauren Chiardio, And we'll see all our viewers again next month for another episode of Purpose Marketing Hits and Misses. Catch everyone next time.
Perfect. See you all.